Wilder Show podcast. I'm Scott. That's Lauren.
Hello.
Hey, Lauren, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay. I'm all right. Bunch to get into today. This is a hat tip to J.R.R. Tolkien. This is our 111st podcast.
Oh, wow.
So,
Hey, didn't we read something
111.
earlier this week that talked about, we might not think that we're doing that great, but compared to the people who start podcasts, isn't it that most people who start a podcast will do 3,
It was actually
9, something like that?
40% of them will not have 3 podcasts.
Okay.
3 episodes. And something like 68% will not have 7.
Okay.
And I think it's like 94% will not have more than 100. So we're in the top, what are they, 6th percentile or whatever.
I'll take
Just honestly, just for endurance.
The crazy thing about that, though, is when you look at any podcast app, whether you listen to them on Apple Podcasts or you listen to them on Spotify or wherever, if you just look and see how many there are
How many episodes?
How many podcasts there are.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That have gone on for years.
I know.
And
So 2017, 2018, yeah.
if all of the would-be podcasters, the wannabe podcasters, the people with a microphone and a dream got past 9 or 12 or whatever it is, where would we put them all?
I know.
Doesn't it seem like?
True.
I know there's an infinite amount of space, but I can't. It boggles the mind a little bit.
If we're all making them, we're not available to listen.
Well, that's true. How many hours are there in the day
right.
to listen to podcasts? I'm working on it. I'm trying to see how many I can fit into any given day.
Yeah, you're the master. I'm going to play some audio. We don't normally do that. Play some audio here in a second. You just have to hear it.
You wouldn't believe it was true. Maybe you would. You would.
Honestly, when I first saw it, I thought that is AI generated. There is no
Did you
way.
really?
Yeah, I did. Because you never know these days. What you're looking at, is it real? Or is it made up? Somebody is it make believe?
Truth.
You know?
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. Instagram, find us on Instagram, search Wilder Show Pod. If you want to send us email, just email to podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube. I saw the little version of you on the TikTok in the last couple of days. You look good. Wherever you get your podcast, just like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. Yeah, we're on the TikTok. Search Wilder Show or Wilder Show Podcast. Let me answer a question I've gotten on response on the podcast, and I think it's been the same person both times. I've answered it both times, but I apparently did not take because I was asked again. In fact, followed by please, please, please. Like, please, seriously, please answer this question.
Wow.
So I will answer it here for the rest of us too. The question was, what was the ending music, the closing music on our radio show? And the closing music was a great piece by Buddy Rich called Basically Blues.
Right.
And loved it. Always loved it. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da. Anyway, and we have an homage to it at the end of this show. Our own little take on that that we created, that we don't have to pay $50,000 in royalties, to play. And so we have that, but you'll hear sort of a version of that, a Wilderized version of Basically Blues. The opening music on the radio show was Hip Hug Her, not Hip Hugger, but Hip Hug Her. Which was by Booker T and the MGs.
Great song.
Yeah. So the opening music for this podcast, they always used Booker T, always used that great Hammond B3 organ. And so in trying to figure out if we're not going to use Hip Hugger, what should we use for the little podcast? And came up with that. And it is sort of an homage to that. And then the ending is our own little creation, an homage to Basically Blues by Buddy Rich. And then the middle part there for Scattershoot is just, something we came up with. And so there you go, answering the question. I'm going to play some audio for you in a second. And I played it for you. You heard it one time.
I did.
And honestly, I have two thoughts, and I think you're going to echo the second thought. But my first thought is when I heard it, I can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And then quickly after that, what do you end up saying?
Yeah, I kind of can. I mean, I've heard enough, I've read enough, I've seen enough to know that this is not that. This is the direction that we're headed.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I not believe that? Sadly.
Yeah. We have talked about the fight for the language, the importance of the language. Language is not the war, but language is a battle in the war. And when you give up the language, it's sort of a different now default. You kind of gave up a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, and all of a sudden you're arguing about stuff. You say, well, why are we arguing about this? This is obvious. This should not be a question.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't take up 5 minutes of a senator's time in a Senate hearing to get the answer. You ask the question one time, it's an obvious answer. Everybody knows the answer. Give the answer. And move on. Before the last podcast, I noticed, at the beginning of the year, it's always, what are the Supreme Court arguments going to be? What cases have they accepted? And they're going to hear the arguments for and against. And I thought, I really ought to do an overview of those on the podcast. And so in response to that thought, I didn't. I just didn't. And so between the last podcast and this podcast, there are arguments before the Supreme Court. And one of those arguments is actually two cases combined, and it is about women's sports, high school and collegiate sports. Put a better way, maybe a more pedestrian way, but maybe a more understandable way. Should men play in women's sports?
Mm-hmm.
Trans women, which is to say men, should men play in women's sports? And there are 29 states, I believe it's 29, that have a ban on that. Texas is one of them. No, the answer is no. We're not going to have men playing in women's sports. So that's a case, two cases before the Supreme Court. They're going to consider it, and by June or whatever it is, they're going to have an announcement they're going to make. So after that argument before the Supreme Court, both sides, and I listened to a lot of it, I made a note to myself when I was trying to remember what we might want to talk about here. You're listening to it, and the voice of the Supreme Court justice before they tell you on the screen. Oh, I know who that is. That's Elena Kagan.
Uh-huh.
That's who that is. So I was listening to that. And then the next day, there was a congressional hearing, a Senate hearing, and there were three experts that were there. And the purpose of this hearing, and this is the audio we're going to play in a second. You may even already know what we're going to talk about. But it was a hearing about the safety and the risks and the regulation of basically chemical abortion drugs.
Okay.
A medication abortion drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is mifepristone, and it's typically used also with misoprostol, I believe. Anyway, so the conversation was, is the FDA being honest? What is the risk for women that take these drugs to accomplish their abortion? And so the three people that were on the panel that were brought up as experts, one was the Honorable Elizabeth Murrell, Attorney General of Louisiana, Dr. Monique Schiro-Wubenhorst, MD, MPH, Senior Fellow at the Nicola Center for Ethics and Culture at Notre Dame, and Adjunct Professor at Indiana University School of Medicine. And the third is Dr. Nisha Verna, MD, MPH, called by the Democrat side to be a witness, to be an expert, doctor, a fellow at Physicians for Reproductive Health. So the way it works in these hearings is, I'm sure you know, if you're sitting there at the big table with your little name card in front of you, if you were to look up at the questioners, you would see a center. That's where the chairman and the chairperson, and then the other person that is top of the other pile is right beside that chairperson. And to the left of the chairperson, interestingly, left is Democrats. Mm-hmm. And to the right is Republicans. And so it goes back and forth. Republicans ask a question, they're trying to make their point, and then a lot of times the questions have nothing to do with, getting an answer. It has to do with the little speech they want to make. Don't you agree, doctor, that blah, 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 and yes, and that's it. And they make their speech. So it's going back and forth. And And one of the questioners on the Republican side had asked this doctor, Dr. Nisha Verna, Dr. Verna, a question. It was the end of his time asking questions. She did not give an answer sufficient for everyone. And so Josh Hawley was the next one to ask a question. Now, I'm going to play this for you. It's about 5 minutes long. And you're going to think this is edited. Now, in the old radio days, I would have paused it along the way and maybe commented on it and, a little wise-assery along the way. We're not going to do that. You're going to hear it exactly as it happened. And I really think you're going to say, you got to be kidding me. For real? This is a real Senate hearing from a real expert. And this was the question actually asked several times. And this is the answer, such as it was, that was given. So this is the exchange between Senator Josh Hawley and Dr. Nisha Verna, a doctor, an expert called by the Democrat side in the Senate hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women.
Can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool.
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. The United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating male and female with...
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological...
You're not going to answer my question.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
Again, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push...
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask... I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged. And yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients, and I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women, and I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing, that is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing.
Kids would say, I have no words.
Mm-hmm.
No words.
Yeah.
Would you want that person to be your doctor? Would you trust her to tell you whether or not you should have a medical procedure? Would you trust her in your life and death decisions?
I mean, sounds like she's having a really hard time.
Lying?
Just, well, maybe that is it.
Watching her, I really thought she is desperately nervous that somebody that she likes and respects and goes to parties with would say, I saw you admit blank
right
in that Senate hearing. I can't believe you did that.
Mm-hmm. A desperate need to please people or party or
ideology.
Yeah.
I think her highest association, I think it's, we talk about that a lot, highest association. Her highest association is not that she is a medical professional. What would supersede that? For her, it's her liberal ideology. Now, people talk about, is liberalism a mental disorder? Is someone mentally ill? Does it drive them to mental illness? I don't know. What I do know is that the testimony she gave under oath is evidence that she cannot be trusted as an expert in medicine or really anything else except maybe political ideology. That is the thing that drives her. She may be a doctor, doctoring may be how she makes all her money, but that's not the most important thing to her, because when she had the opportunity under oath to answer a very, very simple question, she refused to.
We've talked about people who, professors who've talked about how they couldn't get published anymore, or they wrote one thing that went against the political beliefs of the people in charge, and they lost their opportunity to publish from there on out, or they lost their job, or they lost their tenure, or they lost because they didn't fall in line with the, or not even because they didn't fall in line, but because their research didn't fall in line.
Didn't support
yes.
the other side. Like obviously what they found, maybe even scientifically, what they found did not ran counter to what is their personal social belief.
Mm-hmm.
Boys should not play in women's sports, period. I really believe time will prove this out. This may seem controversial. I'm not doing it for controversy's sake. But I believe at the end of this conversation, if we all survive as a society to see an end to this conversation, we will find that the one element that is never really being addressed here is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
You ever wanted to be if you could be something else, an animal, what animal would you be? You ever thought about that? Oh, you talked about this maybe.
I think we have talked about birds, haven't we?
I can tell you what I would be. I've always wanted to be, if I were not a person, I always wanted to be a red-tailed hawk.
How so?
Well, it's a bird of prey, so you're killing stuff. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a protected species along with the bald eagle. I would give over all the attention to the bald eagle. That'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need all the attention, people taking pictures of me and all that kind of stuff. I'll just be a red-tailed hawk. Just be a nice bird. But I always thought it would be kind of cool if you couldn't be a person to be a red-tailed hawk. Now the thing is, that's a different species. So I can't be another species because I was born a human.
Right.
I was a person assigned at birth human.
With all of its gifts and limitations.
Yeah. I was assigned at birth human. So I can't be a red-tailed hawk, and it really doesn't matter how I feel about it. I might really, on a really spectacular day, I might really feel like a red-tailed hawk. Put my arms out, run around the backyard, feel like a red-tailed hawk. But I'm not a red-tailed hawk. Person assigned male at birth is not a woman. It's a man. It's a boy. It's male. Person assigned female at birth. You cannot be trans species, and you cannot be transgender. It doesn't exist. It is a mental health issue. Someone who believes they are a wolf, that is a mental health issue. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's not something to be coddled and to cajoled. It's not something to say, well, I mean, but he really believes that he's a fox. No, it's not. And I really do believe it is such a disservice to people that are having mental challenges to do something more than assist them in pointing them back toward reality. And I understand the motivation. Everybody wants to be kind, and I got that. And but lost in that is the understanding that there is a confusion. You know, and we go back to the language. We give up the language. If you give up the words, if you lose the battle for words, you run the risk of losing the war for something greater. Mm-hmm. For a long time, they talked about gender reassignment. And even that, it's like, well, you can't really reassign the gender. The gender is, so we had that conversation. And then at some point, the new language was adopted. It's not gender reassignment, because that, even in the wording, suggests that you are changing
something.
Started as
one thing, and now you're going to become something else.
That's right. Yeah. And so we changed, society accepted the change from gender reassignment to gender affirmation. We're just going to affirm whatever you say you are. What are you today? What's today? Today, Friday? What are you on Fridays? Okay, I want to affirm that. Whatever you say you're on Friday, that's what you are. Doesn't matter what you were on Thursday. Doesn't matter what you were born as. Whatever you say, I'm going to affirm that. Gender affirmation. So I've always been against giving over the language. That seems like a really nitpicky thing when you're fighting about it. Go back in time. And the minute we were talking about gender affirmation, to have that conversation, no, pound the table, no. We cannot change it to gender affirmation. Here are all the reasons why you can't do that. And you sound crazy to most people, even some of the people that agree with you. But look what happens when we give over the language, when you give over that language. So trans, I really reject the whole trans anything. Transgender, trans species. No, it doesn't exist. It is at its heart. I'm not saying it's not complicated. I'm not saying I'm a doctor, although I think I may be as much of a doctor as Dr. Bombay. What was her name? Verma. I mean, if she's a doctor, I'm a doctor. My thoughts on this are as medically sound as Dr. Verma's.
As scientifically.
Or mine is more scientific. Correct. Mine is actually scientifically true. Mm-hmm. So when Josh Hawley's asking the question, and he says at one point, I think when we were talking about it, you said, how can he say, are we still talking about this? That was the only part that you thought, well, of course we're still talking about this.
Yes, he said something about, I thought we were past all this. Right. And I wondered where he got that impression, because I don't feel like we're past. I mean, I think this clearly shows we're nowhere near past this.
Well, we need to be past it. You can't fix something unless you are honest about it. And nobody wants to be honest about this. And look, I know if you have somebody in your family that struggles with this kind of stuff, I get it. I totally get it. This is not about that. But it's like I used to say, it's not love if you see someone walking toward a cliff and say to them, walk on, brother, walk on. That is not love. It may feel good until they slip off the edge, but it's not love. If a girl weighs 72 pounds as a 17-year-old girl, and she is struggling to lose weight because she thinks she is fat, it is not love to tell her, honey, you do look a little heavy. I agree with you. That's not love. That is not love. It's something, but it's not love. So I played that audio, which I don't think we ever, in 100 and whatever episodes, we have not played audio. But I played because it's so stark, but also because it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really important that look, I'm not saying you have to go out and, harass and harangue your friends and your family members and have this conversation over the dinner table. But inside of you, it's important to know the truth, to not be embarrassed by the truth, to not be shamed out of your position that the truth is the truth. Josh Hawley, if he had gotten that very simple answer to that very simple question, I'm certain he had more things he wanted to talk to Dr. Verma about, but he couldn't get it done because she refused to admit the truth, and she knows the truth. So when I watch that, I think that is, again, I don't know if it's mental illness, but it is dangerous. I say a word about Venezuela. The president met with the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Machado?
Yes.
He met with her yesterday, and I don't think I've said this, but I think he's going, I might want to install you as the leader of Venezuela if you'll hand over that Nobel Peace Prize. She sort of talked about, I would be happy to share it with, she dedicated it to President Trump.
It's one way to get it.
Yes. Take her former country hostage. And then, you really want to be the leader? Give me that medal. Give me that medal. He should tap the brakes a little. He can always rename Greenland Trumpland.
Don't give him any ideas. Keep that low.
Speaking of Greenland, not much of an update. I know that some of the European countries have sent troops over there, and Trump is saying, again, he's saying we're going to take it if we need to, and all. It's not going to happen. Don't worry. It's not going to happen. Minneapolis, another protester was shot, I think overnight, night before last, by ICE, and the question is, was it justified? Or the president's talking about the Insurrection Act, and would you bring in? You know what the Insurrection Act is? The Insurrection Act is where it's not just National Guard troops. Mm-hmm. The president, a president can order U.S. military into a city to maintain control. You say, well, gosh, that sounds tough. Has that ever happened? It has. Mm-hmm. It happened back in the Rodney King days. It was George H.W. Bush, right? When that Rodney King thing happened. Mm-hmm. But in that case, it was the governor of the state that requested the president to cite the Insurrection Act and send in military to maintain control. This is not that. Believe me, no one in Minnesota is asking the president to help in any way. They're asking everybody to leave. And so that's not the case there. But I don't believe it's going to be the Insurrection Act. I hope it'll all calm down. And just one other thing about this. I think there are some really very negative things that can come from what is happening in these cities. The president was elected in part because of prices and gasoline prices and price of eggs and those kinds of things to end all unnecessary wars, right? That's one of the things.
Right.
And then the other thing is the whole illegal immigration thing. Very important. A lot of people said that, we need to get a handle on that. And I think when it came to, and we even talked about this, get all the murderers out and the rapists out and the thieves and the people that are sexually assaulting and assaulting people otherwise. Get all those illegals out of here. Let's start there. We don't have to go to somebody who's in college and whose parents have been here forever and they've been here, almost all of their life. Mm-hmm. Technically, they're here illegally. Technically, they're here illegally, but let's don't start with them. That gets a little murkier when we're talking about that, especially when we know there are people that absolutely everyone should, maybe not Dr. Verma, but every reasonable person would agree, that person's got to get out of the country. When people see what they're seeing right now in cities, I'm not saying that what President Trump is doing is necessarily wrong. I'm talking about the impact on the election coming up and the one after that. when people see this, they really do say, even those who vote, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
That's not what I meant. I didn't mean stand outside the Target and grab people and throw them in the back of a van and haul them off. I meant let's start with the things that we know. Should those people that are here illegally be out of the country? Yes. Even if the only law they broke, of course, you can't just break one law because you have to get a false identity and all kinds of other laws that are broken. That if a U.S. citizen broke those laws, would be in a lot of trouble. But yeah, let's just say, other than the whole process of being in the country illegally, did they do other things?
We said violent criminals.
I'll say
right?
violent criminals. Yeah. Should those, even those quote, peaceful lawbreakers, should those people be out of the country? Yes, technically they should be. But why can't we start with what we know and can all agree on? The independent people, independent voters, the people that voted for President Trump, the Hispanic American, the Latino community that voted for President Trump, even they would agree. Yeah, we want them to be people who came in the right way, and the people that are violent that are in, yeah, they have to go. You want those people on your side. When it's done the way it's being done in Minnesota and other places, whether technically the people that are arrested should be out of the country or not, it impacts the ability to be successful longer term. So don't read that as compromise. It's not compromise. We're talking mission and method. The mission is we want to get as many illegal people out of the country as possible. That's the mission. The method is let's start where we can start. Let's start where we can all agree. Let's start with the 1.8 million or whatever the number is of people that Biden let come in last. Let's start with where we can agree, and let's grow it from there. I don't want it to be a deal where we go to Portland and that becomes part of the news, and we go to Seattle, that becomes part of it. They go to LA, that becomes part of it. They go to Chicago, and then we go to Minneapolis, and we go to Denver. I don't think that's helpful. And I know that Trump is not running again, but I would like for him to consider what might be good for the party that put him there in this midterm election, which, by the way, is right around the corner. So not much new with Minnesota. I really hope that by the next time we are chatting, it has really, really calmed down.
Did you hear about the Starbucks employee in California who was fired this week?
No.
Fired for, we've talked about how it was a big push by Starbucks last year to bring people back. One of the ways they were going to try to bring people back
be your
into
third
the
place
cafe,
or whatever.
be your third place, was to leave happy little messages on your cup, or draw a little picture on your cup. Have a nice day, little smiley face, something like that. Something's more involved than that. Well, a police officer in a suburb of Los Angeles picked up middle of a long shift, middle of like a 16-hour shift, went into a Starbucks to pick up his coffee. And when he picked it up, there was a little drawing of a pig on the cup.
Good grief.
Employee was fired. The police officer didn't make a big fuss about it. He said it's just left him feeling sort of sad and frustrated in the middle of a shift, protecting the community to be regarded in that way. So disrespectful.
The police officer didn't reach up and take out her nose ring or anything.
No.
Yeah, that is completely unacceptable, but it is not surprising. It is not surprising. And I'm so glad they lost their job. I hope they don't get another job.
He was
Seriously.
a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department member, a deputy. So he stopped at the Starbucks in Norwalk, California to get a cup of coffee, like I said, in the middle of his 16-hour shift. And just was so discouraged to see that. There was no words were exchanged, nothing unkind was said. Just so disheartening.
Did they identify the person? Did they name her?
Did not name the person.
I'd love to know what her name is and what colors are her hair. And I want to know about the tattoos.
The pig had been drawn, a little cartoon had been drawn on the cup hours before when partners, baristas, Starbucks employees were readying for the day and getting ahead on cups, and they were drawing little things that might, make each other smile. Said it was intended to uplift partners working behind the bar, but the act was unacceptable. The act of giving it to the police officer was unacceptable.
Oh, it is time for a scatter shoot.
Let's go.
Wilder Show scatter shoot. All right. Oh, you know what? Am I going to have to pay Matthew McConaughey money?
If you're not careful.
Yeah, he's trademarked that, hasn't he? He's
is it a
trademarked
trademark? Is that
like
what it is? Yeah.
He did like eight or nine things. He's fighting against AI. And I appreciate that.
I do too.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool, but I'm still going to say it until we get our cease and desist order.
There's got to be a little part of him that loves that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
He just doesn't want us. He doesn't want us profiting.
That's
from
correct.
It. He doesn't want people impersonating him, using his likeness.
That's right.
Ours is more of an homage.
It is. Yeah, we hat tip. Again, our 11th. Just one more thing about that. I remember, and I knew at the time, Lauren, that this was going to be interesting and be appreciated by less than 1% of the people listening to the radio show.
Okay.
But we happened to be on the air on the day that would have been, back in the radio days, we happened to be on the air on the day that would have been J.R.R. Tolkien's 111th birthday.
I do remember that.
And I went on the air and said something like, oh, you know what? Happy 111st birthday to J.R.R. Tolkien. And I think we went right to a break. And probably on the intercom, I may have said to you, no one is going to understand. That may have been the beginning of the phrase, IYKYK. If you know, you know. But today is this is our 11th podcast. Translated, it's the 111th podcast. We don't talk about all the numbers all the time, but I thought 11th is sort of a fun little thing to make note of.
It's a marker.
It's a marker.
Speaking of markers, did you hear about the guy? It happened right here in Texas. Stephen Harmon, who goes by Cowboy at Heart 82 on social media, posted a video of himself earlier this month. And the caption of the video was taking a horse inside Target. And that's what he did.
Wait. He took a live horse inside the Target department store.
The footage showed Harmon actually riding a full-sized horse through the store while a companion recorded the moment. Obviously, some of the customers were entertained. Others were a little bit frightened. But the ones who really complained were the ones who were upset that he was allowing the horse to leave little markers of their
little horse,
a little record of their visit to the store. And they were not, I mean, you can't take a horse in Target, especially if you're not going to clean up after the horse. That's
right.
But just the lengths that, if it was going to happen any place, it's going to happen in Texas. So not surprised by that.
Wow. So live animal was inside the building.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even their Christmas pageant or anything.
No, it was not. It's way past Christmas.
Let me say a word about the space station. You following this? They splashed down the night before last again. 4 of them did. They called back 4 members of the International Space Station. And just to remember, the International Space Station, you and I talk to people from other parts of the country a lot of times, and there'll be like a flood in Houston. And our friends in other parts of the country will send us a note or a text in a group exchange and say, hey, are you guys okay? It's like, dude, Houston is a long way. Right. Houston is very far away from where we live. And when I tell them this, people can't believe it. The space station in orbit is closer to the Earth than Dallas is to Houston.
Isn't that crazy? Crazy.
So the space station, 4 of the people are coming back, and one of them is sick, and they're not saying which one is sick, and they're not saying what the sickness is. They're saying that the person, we don't know, man or woman, person is in stable condition, and probably over time we'll find out who it was and why it was. But that's not really why I'm bringing it up. Isn't it hard to believe there's no medical facility on the space station?
Well, for minor things, right? I mean,
If you have a tummy ache or whatever, you got some bathroom issues, or you have a sniffles or something, you take some antibiotics or some pills. First of all, the space station is clean, right? I mean, except for the germs that humans bring in.
right.
There's nothing, there's no pollen, there's no dander, there's nothing like that, right? No dust. I mean, that's all managed. It's sort of pristine.
Right.
So that's a little confusing. But I was reading a thing about, we really have to rethink this if we're going to be going to Mars. It's like, hold on a second. It's been a long time since we went to the moon, if you believe we've been to the moon. I mean, I'm kidding. How long has it been?
Yeah.
We haven't been back to the moon. Why are we talking about Mars? But if you're going to go like whatever it is, 90 days to Mars, it's not 30 seconds. But it's 90 days, I think it takes to get to Mars. If you're halfway there and something happens, you can't come back. Then
Well,
what do
I
you do?
think
And all they have, I'm serious, all they have is a space on the floor where somebody can lie down, where they can work. There's no medical bay. I just think it's wild that you would not have in a space station where people are always up there doing stuff. They're, with screwdrivers and fixing stuff or whatever
Yeah.
they do in outer space. But there's no doctor. There's no medicine. If they need an IV, they can't do that. It just seems bizarre.
I know
that would not have been.
They go to great lengths to be sure that everybody is in really good health
Yeah.
before they embark on a mission like this. But I'm sure it's not outside the realm of possibility that somebody could develop a symptom of something more serious that they wouldn't want to wait to have checked out.
Well, sure. I mean,
right?
it's like on Earth, you could get, a disease and
Sure.
find out or whatever. But
Seems like all kinds of things could happen.
well, anything could happen. I just think it's crazy that we would have a space station.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have as part of the space. I mean, they have a place where they have food, right? Yeah, because you got to eat. And they have a place where they sleep because you got to sleep. They have liquids because you got to have liquids. They have air because you got to breathe. It just seems like maybe we all watched those, whatever, Star Trek and things like that, where we think it will be different than it is. But I just can't imagine, not just going up and coming back, right? Going to the moon, coming back, got it. But I mean, if you have a space station, people are there for like 4, 5, 6 months. They are living there.
Yeah.
It'd be like going off to college for more than a semester, and you have no access to any medical facility, and you're in space.
Well, how much do you think, what would space allow for? What if you had an appendicitis or something like that?
Put another pod on there. They got a medical bay. You have a separate little, I don't know, like
But
a little.
for surgery? Like for...
I think if we're going to send people to Mars, you have to send a doctor and a surgeon. It's got to be somebody who can do stuff.
Yeah.
If you need stuff done. I don't think it can just be, well, he was running okay when we put him in the missile.
Maybe some little hatch where you just send him back.
Here we are 9 months later, and he's got a toothache.
We're staying. You got to go.
Well, and that's the thing. Some are staying, 4 came back. Anyway, we'll probably find out what it is. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I don't walk around thinking, I wonder what they have in this space station. But it was a surprise that they don't have that. They don't have a place for caring for people that get sick. What if you were doing something, the screwdriver slipped and you jammed it in your hand or something?
Maybe stuff like that they can take care of.
I guess.
Maybe they can stitch up something minor. You don't think so?
I don't know. It sounded like they were, other than tummy things or...
Band-Aids?
They have Band-Aids, they have aspirin, some tummy medicine, some Pepto-Bismol or something. One of the guys that was in the space station, I saw him interviewed, and it was kind of embarrassing. They said, well, now you did get sick when you were up there. He said, and it's kind of, yeah, I did. And it was a bathroom issue.
Yeah.
He had, I don't know, ate some bad Mexican food up there or something. And from the file, Gavin Newsom wants to be president. And by the way, guess who else wants to be president?
Who?
I think you're going to find that Oprah wants to be president or probably vice president.
Years and decades ago, I used to think, man, all she'd have to do is run. She has more how many times do you see during a presidential election cycle or season, you'll have, people on the street asking questions of normal people, and sometimes people don't even know who's running.
That's right.
I mean, she, at that time at least,
High name
if
recognition.
not still now, name recognition, face recognition, people could probably tell you what she thinks about a lot of things. A lot of people could probably tell you a lot more about what she thinks of things than they could tell you about any political party.
I think what you might find, I could see Gavin Newsom, we'll talk about him in a second. I could see Gavin Newsom tapping her to be the vice president. So Gavin, you have Newsom, Oprah coming.
Newsom, it'd be Newsom Winfrey, wouldn't it? I think she'd want to be taken seriously enough that she'd want to use both names.
Win with Winfrey. She's a winner.
Oh no, I think
Think it's not good. Hold on a second.
maybe it's just a little too easy.
Well, she is out saying America needs to find its center, not its center. Its center.
Right.
America needs to find its center, she says. So she's, she's trying to position herself as a centrist, I guess. Yeah, a centrist. She could help us find our center. You get a center, and you get a center, and you get a center. Everyone look under their chairs. Gavin Newsom wants to be president from the Gavin Newsom wants to be president file. He is working behind the scenes to block the proposed tax on billionaires' wealth, and he says he is committed to defeating the measure if it reaches the ballot. So he's saying, I'm going to work to make sure it doesn't get to the ballot box, but if it does, he says, the quote is, "This will be defeated. There's no question in my mind," he says. That was what he vowed on Monday of this week to stop a proposed wealth tax in California. Do you know the difference between an income tax and a wealth tax? You know what the difference is?
Not really.
Let's talk about this for a second. An income, you know what that is. You have income and they tax your income. Let's say with your income, you purchased the Mona Lisa. And so it's worth, a couple $100. So you have the Mona Lisa and they say, well, I'm not going to sell it. You have capital gains tax.
Yeah.
I buy a yacht for $1 million. I sell the yacht for $1.2 million. Better example, I buy some collectible coins for $100,000 and I hold on to them. Now, do I pay a tax for holding on to them? No. Is it part of my wealth? Yes. I could borrow money from the bank against that asset and then spend that money on stuff. But I'm not taxed on this wealth that I hold. Now, if I take those coins that I bought for $100,000 and I sell them for $200,000, there's a tax on the capital that has been gained.
Right, that makes sense.
The capital gains tax. But I don't pay it until I sell it.
Yeah.
But what they're talking about in California is, no. We're going to tax you for holding stuff that is valuable. Wait a minute. So if I bought something for $1 million, you're going to charge me for continuing to hold it, just to hold it, like a property tax, but it is for property, for all your stuff, for your cars, for whatever is your wealth, or for your money. You have money in the bank. Let's say you have $100,000 in the bank. What do you pay to continue to have that $100,000? Nothing. It earns money. I'm not going to spend it. I'm just going to keep it in the bank. And it earns whatever interest it earns. And maybe I invest it in bonds or whatever. But no, I don't have to. They're saying, no. We're going to tax your wealth even if it has not been actualized. So somebody leaves you a house. And you say, well, I'm not going to sell it right now. I'm just going to have it's all paid off. I'm not going to, that's property tax and all that. But no. That's part of your wealth now. We're going to tax your wealth. Anyway, that's the kind of thing they're talking about. So Newsom, of course, said in an interview with the New York Times that he has been relentlessly working behind the scenes against the proposal and that he would fight the measure if it reached the ballot box. This will be defeated, he said. I'll do what I have to do to protect the state. Many liberals want to protect the state. They just don't want to protect the individuals in the state. I mean, you can protect the state and do what is right for the state, the greater good, and still damage people. He says he has long opposed a wealth tax because he says it will stifle innovation in California. And of course it would. But I say bring all the people to the other states. Tech influencers, conservatives have tried to pin this idea on Newsom, who, of course, is taking aim at being the Democratic candidate for president. So there it is in the New York Times piece, talking above the fold, and before the break, as they say in the publishing industry, that he is, of course, eyeing the Democrat slot for the presidency in 2028. So, yeah, it comes from the Gavin Newsom wants to be president. I don't think you can really take any of this stuff as stuff he really believes.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Because of that.
Doesn't it seem it seems different from what we know about him?
Sure.
That seems like something he would be in favor of. And is it only because he wants to be president that he's fighting so tirelessly against this?
It would apply retroactively to anyone who was living in California as of January. So what they're saying is, yeah, you're afraid of it. You're afraid we're going to do this, and you left. Yeah, no, we're coming after yours too. You lived here part of the time. Because a lot of people, a lot of these tech guys, these billionaires or whatever, are leaving California for this very reason. And New York too. Getting out. Well, the getting's good. But see, they want to make it retroactive. I mean, that's insane. And yet it's real.
I have a very old car.
Huh?
I mean, it's an old car. It's a 2008.
Sure.
It has no, it's in great shape. It's in mostly good shape. It gets me from point A to point B. It's a good make. It's known for lasting a very long time.
That's right.
And it has lasted me a very long time. No, for the time in 2008, it was loaded with bells and whistles.
Sure.
Everything was power. I could play CDs. I had AM, FM radio, but there's no screen. There's nothing like.
You mean like the touch screens or whatever?
There's no touch screen, and there's barely even a screen.
It's just normal.
It's a little digital screen that tells you, what radio station you're listening to,
or what cut on the CD,
are you on, number 1 through 6 of the discs in the 6 CD changer.
Fancy.
But it doesn't tell you very much at all. And you don't use it really to control anything. It's full of buttons. Everything is controlled sort of the old-fashioned way. And as a result of that, I get a little freaked out in cars with big screens where everything and they're everywhere. Everyone has them now.
All of them.
I've often thought I'm just going to keep driving this car until I can't anymore because I really don't want to have to deal with that. And now it turns out maybe some of those screens really are not as good for our safety as we think they might be.
Yeah, you're talking touch screens, right? They're touch screens.
The touch screens, and it's not just any touch screen. I guess more and more the things that we control via those touch screens. There are more things that it's not just your map, or it's not maybe just what you're listening to in the car. To go back for just a minute, most of the car accidents that we have are a result of human error. They're a result of the fact that we have divided attention. You can look at the errors that we make when we take our eyes off the road, or our hands off of the wheel, or our mind off of the driving task. So these would be visual, manual, or cognitive issues that we might have, or mistakes that we might make while we're driving. So think of a screen now that wants you to not only control your map or what you're listening to, things that you could do maybe should do while you're sitting still. But now you also have to, you control the temperature with the touch screen.
Right.
You control the airflow with a touch screen. You control whether or not the AC is on or how cool the air is. And what people are saying is that some of those things, it's not even just one button. You might have to go several layers into. And I'm really not I don't have this technology. I haven't even played with this technology. So somebody who has this could probably tell me more. But what people are saying is that this is not going to, it does not bode well for us, because when we make mistakes, when we have a challenge in any of those things, visual, if you take your eyes off of the road, that's the reason why. I mean, we have problem. People say don't text and
while you drive. Visual distraction.
Yeah, if you're taking your eyes off the road for anything, that's going to put you at a detriment. But then manual and cognitive. How hard are you having to think about the thing that you're doing on this touch screen? So there is a real push to bring back the button.
Oh, going back to buttons and no screens.
I don't think we'll ever go back to no
I
screens.
yeah.
But there is, I mean, in the UK, some car makers like Volkswagen and Hyundai have already been responding to the call to bring back the button. There's something about when you, and you probably know this if you just think about it, when you even, if you changed a radio station or if you push the button to make the air flow a little higher or cooler or whatever, there are a lot of those things that you could do just from muscle memory.
Sure.
I mean, you weren't really taking your eyes off of the road at all to do that. It's a much safer way for us to control those parts of the car while we're driving.
You go in a Tesla, it's all on a screen.
It is all on a screen.
There's nothing. There are no buttons anywhere. I mean, I say I don't really know that. There probably are some buttons, but it feels like that. When I've been in a Tesla, it's like, where are all the buttons?
It's a big screen.
It's
and
huge.
Almost everything is controlled via that screen.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. It makes sense, though.
It gives me hope for my next car.
Yeah.
I really don't,
You don't want a big screen.
And it's not, and also to me, and this makes me sound so old, it's like having an ice maker in the door of a refrigerator.
Yeah.
I always just kind of look at that as something else too. That's something else that's going to break. And sure enough, touch screens in new cars, drivers don't like them, and there are people report problems with the touch screen within the first 90 days.
Yeah, and part of that even maybe human error. People getting used to something they don't know how to do. I mean, it's 2 layers deep, and
might be.
They don't, or they want to do it, but they're driving, and you can't do it when you're driving, or it's not in park, and you can't change that when it's not in park. All kinds of different things, or maybe somebody in the passenger seat could do it if it's in motion, but there's no one in the passenger seat. It can tell if someone's sitting there.
Yeah.
It knows that belt needs to be on, so it is sensing that somebody either is there or is not there. It's all very confusing.
The thought of learning all of that is just exhausting to me. It almost outweighs any excitement I would have about getting a new car. I mean, I think maybe it does outweigh any excitement I would have about getting a new car. Not just the learning and the pressure to do it all right.
I love all the learning, all the new stuff. I love learning, but once you've learned it, it's like, okay, that was fun. But
no.
Yeah, I know.
And then you got updates, and I mean, it's just like your phone.
That's the thing. That's the new world, Lauren. Happy 11th.
Thanks.
The 11th podcast, the Wilder Show podcast. All right. That is the Wilder Show podcast. Instagram, you follow us there. Search Wilder Show Pod. And if you want to send us email, just send it to podcast@wildershow.com. Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, also on the TikTok now and again. Wherever you get your podcasts, please, even right now, like, rate, follow, subscribe, share, comment. All those things matter. Thank you, Josh Hawley, for standing up for the truth. That was fun. All right, Lauren, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Do